What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Bills Tailgate. Jake, the preseason's finally over. 53-man roster cuts are in. We had some surprises. We're going to talk about that today. Some juggling acts going on, some moves made late yesterday as well. So we're going to get into all that stuff. We're going to talk about one of the trades that happened from our team, little surprise there, and then get into season expectations. But before we do all of that, I want to say, if you're new to the channel, I always say comment, like, and drop a nickel. I mean, drop it. Drop 2 nickels. Drop a nickel on that subscribe button. It really doesn't cost you a nickel. Just press that button for us, and we greatly appreciate it. So, Jake, how you doing, my friend? How you doing on this wonderful Wednesday evening?
Doing incredible, Mike. Last night, I spent a good majority of my night after we put the baby down, obviously doing some work. And I put a little work into the man cave late last night. And let me tell you, you can't tell right now, but that other side, it's coming to life. And guess what? Just in time, because this is week 1 of college football season, and I am ready to throw my letter of resignation into my wife for being not only a husband. I'm going to try to be the best dad I can be, don't get me wrong. But listen, the availability on Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, even some Fridays, it's going to be a little limited now, I mean, we got football season right here, and boy, I am so excited, and a lot of interesting moves that happened over the last few days. Excited to talk about it, and just let's get it going.
So, Jake, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, we'll go through the 53-man roster. That is actually the current one. I mean, there was one initially at 4 p.m., and there was some slight adjustments, I think, that happened a little bit after. I don't know, or this morning. But let's go over the practice squad right now, real quick. We got 15 people on the practice squad right now, and this is the latest information I was able to gather. I think it's pretty current. Big Al says everything is good sound-wise. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. So we got Jamarcus Ingram, Andy Isabella, signed to the practice squad. Kevin Jarvis, he's an offensive lineman. Greg Mance, offensive lineman. Tyrell Shavers, I was happy to see that. I really like that young man out of San Diego State. Big guy, very fast, Jake, very fast. You know me. Give me those guys over 6 feet. I think he's like 6'4" or even more. I mean, is he even taller?
I think he's 6'4", 224, and guy runs like high 4.3 for.
Yes. So, I was love to see that one. Brian Thompson, I don't know much about this young man. Wide receiver, out of Arizona State. Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, 6'1", 195. He's I think he's actually a rookie this year. I know he's an older rookie. He's 24 years old, but I liked what he showed in the preseason, and definitely a good name to keep. As far as our practice squatters go, I wasn't super surprised by the receivers that they kept. I'm actually surprised that all of them actually stayed with the team. I mean, some of these rookies I figured were, and I'm super, super thrilled about Andy Isabella, by the way, because, gosh, that was a guy that I thought was going to maybe be an active roster guy, and still has a shot at that because we just put Justin Shorter on the IR list for the time being. So he's got to be out for at least 8 weeks because it's the in-season IR list.
Oh, man, I was hoping it was only 4. That's a bummer that it's going to be 8.
Yeah.
8 weeks for him. Let's see here. Who else we got? Kendall Vickers, another guy I never really heard much about, so maybe you can talk to the folks if you know anything about him, out of Tennessee. Defensive tackle, 295. He's 28 years of age, and he's got 3 years of experience.
Yeah, I definitely thought. Now, did we keep? I know Elianku, he just went on the PUP list, or did he go on IR as well? Or no, we just kept him on the practice squad? I thought there was something with him too. Or maybe we just re-signed him to the practice squad. I think that's what it was. So actually, that's great because that was my guy. One of my dudes that I actually honed in on a little bit during draft season was DJ Dale. We signed him as an undrafted free agent, and unfortunately, we did end up releasing him, and we didn't bring him back to the practice squad. So I was a little surprised that we kept Vickers over DJ Dale, but I'll take it. Obviously, DJ Dale goes down with an injury in that first preseason game. That was kind of tough. I don't think he ever really recovered from that. Kendall Vickers brings a little more experience, so I understand why we made the move to keep him over DJ Dale.
And who is the other gentleman you just mentioned?
Elianku. He's a D tackle as well.
I'm looking for him. I don't see him on any of these lists, but again, maybe there was something.
There was something. Yeah, there was something with that. I thought maybe he got injured, but I don't know.
I looked on the practice squad. I don't see him here. Again, this list may not be the most current, but it's pretty current. I'm looking at the injured reserve. Don't see him there.
Yeah, let me take a look at that.
Yeah, take a look there.
Make sure that I'm correct on that. I thought we had signed him, or I thought, there was something with that. I know they released the official list and whatnot, and it doesn't. No, it does look like he's on the practice squad. Yeah, so he is officially on the practice squad, Elianku. So we have him and Kendall Vickers. They are both there.
So that would mean that's the only guy. I have 15 spots. I know you can sign 16. They must have filled it up then with him. Must be the one person I'm missing, unless they. So the other guys they signed: Joe Wilson, tight end, out of Central Michigan, and he's a rookie. What can you tell the folks about him? Because they didn't hear a word, didn't hear his name at all.
I know. Camp. Yeah, that's another guy that kind of just snuck up out of nowhere and just adds some more depth to the tight end room. There's another guy that was on our team, Zach Davidson, who ended up going on IR, which we were talking about before the show too, Mike. So that's a nice kind of replacement for him. I thought Joel Wilson actually in this last preseason game showed a little bit. He had a couple catches and he looked pretty good. He moved well and wearing that 40s number too, trying to bring back the old days with Chris Cooley. Not old days, I mean really mid-late 2000s, right? So Dallas Clark, Chris Cooley, when those guys were wearing numbers in the 40s, maybe Joel Wilson could be a superstar in the making. I'm not going to make any promises here. He's a practice squatter, but cool that we brought him back to the practice squad.
Yeah, and then we signed Ty Johnson, who was somebody we picked up like right before the last preseason game. I know you talked about him on our Sunday night show that you would like to see him signed, and there he is, running back Marcel Aitman. Wasn't Aitman? Didn't he play for the Colts in the? Or was it somebody else?
So he was with the Raiders and he was with the XFL this past year. He was with the St. Louis Battlehawks, and that's another big target as well. 6'4", Mike. So we got two big receivers out of that. Yeah.
Love it. And then we had Cameron Klein, defensive end, Christian Kirksey, linebacker, who was signed to the practice squad, I think today. And who was it that cut him? Was it the Texans or who cut him? Yeah, the Texans cut him.
Yeah, so it was the Texans. And that's really interesting because, with you have a guy coming in, of course, they got the new head coach there, D'Amico Ryans, who's a former Texan, former linebacker for the Texans. So it does worry me a little bit because that's a guy that knows linebackers. I mean, he played at an all-pro level himself for the Texans. But I really love the move, and I still think that Christian Kirksey has a few years left in the tank. He started all 17 games last year. I fully expect him to be elevated and on that active roster and our starting middle linebacker.
Now, I can't remember. You can be elevated X number of times before they have to put you on the 53-man roster.
I believe it's 3 games.
3 games. So that third game, if you're activated for that third game, they got to sign you.
Right.
All right, gotcha. So good stuff there. And let's go to the channel here because I want to talk to our folks out there.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see. Brett, let's see. Everything sounds good. Thank you guys for letting us know that. Brett says, Go Bills podcast, officially a bachelor weekend. This weekend, wife leaves tomorrow. Oh, so the wife was out there with you this week. Didn't know that. Let's see here. Let's see what Red, White, and Bills. I thought Dale was better, but oh well.
That was that was my Raheem Blackshear prospect of the defense this year, Sean. So I was a little disappointed about that too. Was really excited. Guy that played at Alabama, played at a high level. And I think that injury set him back a little bit, but I was impressed with what he showed out there. And yeah, it's unfortunate. But Kendall Vickers, he does have some experience. He's got 3 years of experience. So I'm not terribly upset with it. Obviously I was just kind of hoping, I was rooting for him, so it kind of sucks. And yes, Elianku is on the practice squad, which is good because he's got playing experience as well. He's been activated and he's played in some meaningful regular season games.
So according to my information, we filled up the practice squad with 16 right now. And let's talk about Tom. So Tom, we're going to get into this a little later, but you know what? We have a new rule on this channel. If our supporters are asking us questions, we go right to it. So let's talk a little bit about Isabella. Let me give you my perspective. I never thought Isabella would make the team, the 53-man roster. He came in. Yeah, he shined in preseason a little bit. was preseason. He was playing with second and third stringers, and then I had to think about who would we cut and keep or lose to keep Isabella. And a lot of people were saying, maybe it's Khalil Shakir is the surprise cut, but no, that wasn't going to ever happen. So it's good. We cut him, but fear not, he's on the practice squad. And then, of course, we'll get into Basham in a little bit here. But I know, Jake, Isabella, people were going back and forth. I feel like last year, Isabella was like Trayvon Austin. Remember all the buzz when Trayvon Austin joined us? Was it Tavon or Trayvon? Am I saying his name right? Tavon. Yeah. Tavon Austin joined us. Everyone was like, oh, man, this guy's looking great, looking like, the player that people expected. Same thing happened. They cut him. And they didn't even sign him to the practice squad. But Isabella's on the practice squad, so that's good. And, what's your thoughts, Jake? Did they do the right thing, or did you expect them to be on the 53-man roster?
I think they did the right thing just because you got to keep the guys that have been in your system, and then you're not going to get rid of Justin Shorter. You draft this guy in the 5th round, and he overperformed his draft value already in the preseason. So this is, players that you're investing in. I think you got to put priority over them before you put priority over a guy that you just pick up off the street. No offense to Andy Isabella. I did want him to be on this active roster. I think he will be just because we are putting Justin Shorter on the IR. So that opens up a spot for us to run with 6 receivers. Right now we're at 5. So, I'm really interested to see what happens there. I think he's a really nice asset to the team. And I know you compared him a little bit to Tavon Austin. A little bit more weight on him. Still, about speed-wise, they're pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Tavon Austin's absolute electricity. I mean, the guy is, I think he was misused a lot throughout the course of his career, and he was just a gadget player and never really lived up to that first-round hype. Andy Isabella, I think he's kind of had a rough go at things. Injuries have set him back a little bit. I think he had a hamstring injury himself, and that's always tough for a speed guy like him. The biggest thing with him is just being able to show that he can work in space and be not just a deep threat guy or a gadget player, which I think he did this preseason a lot. Now, as a returner, I wasn't overly impressed with him, but he still got the job done. He secured the football. He didn't turn it over or anything like that, so that was good. I think actually there was one instance where he fumbled.
He fumbled, but the Bills recovered.
We got it back. That's right. Yeah. So, I think he did enough to prove that he can be on this active roster, and he even mentioned himself. He actually had offers to go to other teams, but he decided to stay with us and be on the practice squad. So I think he knows that there's an opportunity to come up on the active roster, and on top of that, he wants to win a ring. So freaking love that, and definitely excited to see what happens with him throughout the year.
Now, Sean was saying it's a shame that Shorter's out all year. I don't think he is. I think it's 8 weeks or...
Yeah. So, Sean, you remember they just instituted that. I think it was during the COVID year. So now there is an in-season IR, which makes that player have to basically sit out for 8 total weeks. And then after that point, if he doesn't come back, then he goes on the season-ending IR. So as of right now, he will be out through week 8, and he can return week 9. That's my understanding of it. So there is still hope. The hamstring is concerning because he had hamstring issues even last year and previous years in college. So I hope it's not going to be a recurring thing with him, because we saw how that affected even Isaiah Hodgins. He couldn't stay healthy, and then when his opportunity came, he made the most of it, but then it just wasn't enough, and he got buried down on the depth chart. Now look at him in New York, and he's thriving. So I'm hoping it doesn't follow that same trajectory that it did for Isaiah Hodgins.
Now, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong. So I know that Shorter made the initial 53-man roster, and I think that's where that in-season IR, if you put someone on IR before the 53-man roster, I think they are done for the season. I don't know. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. Yeah.
All right.
And that's how you can kind of get away with some things. So there's guys you'll see that are on IR right now that may have not even made the team or even on the practice squad, like Zach Davidson, for instance. That's a guy. Tommy Doyle, probably on the bubble himself too, but because they were put on IR prior to the season ending, or season starting, I should say, they're out for the year, and it's just like they're not even a roster spot. They're still like affiliated with the team, but they're not actually on the team per se.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, let me just go over the 5 IR folks that I have that are on injury reserve: Barkley, Zach Davidson, Tommy Doyle, Justin Shorter, and Balin Spector. Doyle's out all season, we know that. And Zach Davidson, again, I like looking at these because I've never heard of this guy. Tell me something about him, Jake.
He's been kind of out and about with us. He was with Minnesota. He came to Buffalo last year, I believe it was, and then we waived him, and then we re-signed him in the spring, and he's on the roster again. And I don't know what the injury even was, to be honest with you. But he's a big target. He's 6'6", 250, Mike. So
Yeah.
a really good athlete, actually, to be honest with you. When he was out there and when I saw him just taking some reps and whatnot, even last year, he looked decent. He can move a little bit. So he looked like an interesting prospect. Now, the problem is we have Quentin Morris, Dawson Knox, and now Dalton Kincaid. So I don't think there's a chance in hell that he's going to really get any type of playing time. But just to have a guy like that on your practice squad, it's always good insurance. But again, he's on IR right now. So I think his season is officially done.
All right, let's talk about Tom's other question. And this was the big surprise for me. And I'll let you go first here, talking about Boogie Basham.
Yeah. I think everyone felt like we were going to get a lot more value for him. Like Boogie Basham straight up for even a 5th round pick would have been more ideal than what we're in right now, because basically we swapped late round picks and then we gave away Boogie Basham. And it just, to me, I guess it's still probably better than releasing him, but we're really banking on the Giants finishing worse than we do, which I think they will, because we want to get the best possible pick out of that we can. And I don't think there's any compensatory picks involved with that either. So there's no conditional picks, none of that either. So, yeah, I'm, looking at that from afar, I feel like we kind of got robbed a little bit on that trade, especially with how well Boogie Basham was playing in the preseason. He looks rejuvenated, and, I mean, he looks like he's out there with a new fire and a new passion. So, for him, I hope it works out. But for us, like, selfishly, I'm like, man, that just kind of sucks a little bit. But the good news is, as my dad points out here, it saves us, I believe it was $1.1 million. His cap hit was it was dead cap of $362K. So at least we did that and we saved up some money, and we can use that towards other things now.
Yeah. And Tom, they didn't release him. They traded him. So yeah. I know we kind of talked about that a little bit. Jake kind of touched on it, but it was a trade. They didn't release him. Surprise for me, Jake. I mean, this is his 3rd year, right? He was a 2nd round pick. And, I thought about this and I'm like, why? Epinesa is finally showed what he can be, like what we all expected in year 3. Took him 3 years, 6.5 sacks last year. Epinesa looked fantastic. Before last year, how many people were calling for Epinesa to be traded, or like, this is another bust? Now, we don't give Boogie the same courtesy of 3 years, but I will say this: I was on the Mafia Sports Report, and Mikey was on there, and I threw that at him, and he said, well, both him and Tommy did not like the Boogie Basham pick, and they felt like, because Boogie played a lot of years in college, right? Wasn't it 4? Or was it even 5?
Yeah, it was 4 years. He was a 4-year starter, I believe.
4 years. So they felt like he was close to his ceiling already. And, of course, let's see what he does in year 1, year 2. And I don't know. I don't feel like he got a lot of time on the field because the Bills already rotate so many people. But whenever he did play, it seemed like he made plays. And so it's a surprise for me, for sure. I would have liked to see them either get more. I mean, it's just embarrassing to me that they get a 5th or 6th rounder in 2025. Let's talk about that a little bit, Jake. 2025. Yeah.
You're kicking the can down the road.
This window's closing for the Super Bowl. I mean, let me be real. We have Josh Allen. The window's always open when you have Josh Allen. But realistically, this team, everyone else is getting better around us. Every other team. This AFC East is just going to be a battle. It was tough last year. It's going to be twice as tough this year. And to push them out to 2025, to get a pick out that late, who knows what this team looks like in 2 years? I know, mean, right?
Yeah. I wasn't overly surprised, just because his name had been rumored for so long reason that it was going to happen. So when it actually did happen, I was like, oh, okay. But I was hoping that the compensation would be a little bit better. I think that's where I'm like at odds with the whole thing. And who knows? Maybe no other teams even offered for him. So maybe they just had to take what they got, and they felt like, hey, this is better than just releasing the guy. At least we're going to get something out of it. So, I guess that's the reasoning for it. And Timmy makes a good point here, too, just talking about, kind of having too many of the same guys on that D-line. I think the difference with Boogie Basham and AJ Epinesa is that AJ Epinesa gives more of like that higher ceiling, like spark play that could happen. even though it doesn't always necessarily result in that matter, where Boogie, he does enough, right? And I think he has shined at times. He makes some big plays, especially on special teams, blocking field goals, because he's played everywhere on that D line too. And the fact that he can play specials, I think that's why they kept him around for so long. And I say so long, it's been 2 years. I think that's where his value was. And in that draft class, we took Greg Rousseau in the first round. Now we took Boogie Basham in the second round, right? And they said the biggest thing with that draft was Greg Rousseau was so raw at the time. They felt like his ceiling was super high. But Boogie Basham, as you said, Mike, and it's a good point to bring up, he had already kind of reached maturity there. So what you see is what you're going to get. And they felt like they can kind of plug and play him right away. Now, it didn't really work out. And I think we got a guy in Kingsley Jonathan, who I've been talking up this entire preseason quite a bit, who can come in there and be better than what Boogie Basham was.
From everything I'm reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like Boogie might have a shot at starting for the Giants on a defensive line.
Yeah.
So if that's true, good for him, and we'll have to see what happens there. We'll keep a close eye on that. And same with, it's going to be interesting to see Edmonds as well. But Boogie, yeah, so I agree with everything you said there, Jake. I think, look, we're not with him. We only see him for a few snaps in preseason sometimes, which he looked good, but against his preseason, we saw him, throughout last year and the year before. And again, it was limited snaps. And he did seem to make some plays, but we're not with him day to day. We're not in the room. We're not on the practice field. They had to have seen something and be willing to cut loose, cut bait this early with him and take what they got from him. It's just insane to me, but I have to trust them. I have to.
Yeah, I think you do. And Sean's talking. He's saying that he thinks Boogie is actually better than Kingsley Jonathan. I think he is now. But I feel like Kingsley Jonathan has room to develop, and you give him some more time. He got some playing time last year and got a taste of what it was like. I think he's going to keep developing into a really good player, and he's going to be a valuable player on that D-line for sure. So I'm excited about him. I really am.
All right, here. Did we catch up there? Let's see. Good stuff, everybody. Yeah, I think we caught up there with most of the questions. We're going to cover some of the other things that people are throwing out there in the chat, but love the chat. Thank you so much. I see some folks out there. If you haven't chimed in, please do so. We love the interaction, and we don't care if you're another fan base either. If you're just here to scout out the Bills and see what maybe we got some Jets people out there just kind of figuring out what the Bills have for week 1 of that Monday Night Football game. But we love all fan bases and everyone. So please go ahead and feel free to put some questions out there or chime in with some comments. So let's go through the roster real quick, the 53-man roster. Obviously, we'll go through the quick ones. No surprise, Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, right? The Allen brothers are in full force.
They sure are.
So, and then let's go to the running back room, which was also really no surprises there. Cook, Harris, Latavius Murray, and your guy all alone by himself, Reggie Gilliam at fullback, made the squad. Really no surprise there, right? Nothing really much there to talk about. Tight end room. No,
not really.
Yeah, tight end room, same thing. Again, just name off the folks. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Quentin Morris. And let's see here. Let's go to the wide receivers. Now, there might have been some surprises here. Maybe not. For some that we're calling for. So we got Gabe Davis, Steph Diggs, Deontay Hardy, Khalil Shakir, and Trent Sherfield. 5. So which is interesting that they kept 5. I feel like I'm missing someone, but because they usually keep 6.
Yeah. So did you name Justin Shorter on that?
I didn't, because I know he's on injured reserve.
Right. So right now they're at 5, but technically they kept 6 because he made the active roster.
Yeah.
But yeah. So right now active, they only have 5, which it is interesting because you feel like for the most, I guess for the better half of the last 5 years, it's always been at least 6.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like Andy Isabella is going to be that guy though. He's going to be activated.
But then so they have the 53 man. It's full. Somebody's going to either, what's going to happen? Some more roster juggling? I don't know, because to fill that 6th spot, somebody else has to go.
That's true.
So
that's true. And who that is, I don't know. That's a great question, honestly. Maybe
All
someone
right.
in the safety room. We do have 5 safeties.
Hey, don't say that, because then I start worrying about my boy. Where is he? Where's the track reviewer tonight? Because we're gonna get. I hope he
know,
joins
right?
us late. Where are you at, track reviewer? All right, let's go to the O line. Let's talk about the big guys in the trenches here. Let's start with guards. So at guard, David Edwards, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, and I wonder what they got. Oh yeah, so that's the 3 there. Again, I'm filtering on an Excel spreadsheet from the data I got, and I was like, we know Bates. Bates is under a center. So if you're thinking, well, Bates should be there, they've got him in this data under the center. We know Bates can play guard. We know he could play tackle if we had to in a heartbeat. I don't think I'm missing anybody right there. Alec
So
Anderson.
they actually kicked Alec Anderson inside, and he's now the backup right guard to Osiris Torrance. So, and I like that move. I think he played really well in the preseason. I was very happy with his performance, and I think guard is a better move for him than tackles. So I feel very happy with that. He's a young kid with some potential, and yeah, I love that we have Ryan Bates. Obviously, he's a versatile guy. He can kind of play everywhere on the offensive line, but has a lot of experience at center, and I think is getting more comfortable there as well. So that's great.
Right. So for tackles in my data, they have Alec Anderson listed there. They have Spencer Brown, Deion Dawkins, Jermaine Ifedi. Am I saying his name right, Jake? Yep. All right. And then Ryan Vandermark. So let's talk a little bit about Alec Anderson. I mean, he's got 1 year of experience out of UCLA. And I know a lot of people were like big on him in the preseason. And I don't know, there was a couple games at right tackle where I'm like, oh my goodness, but what's your thoughts on him? Obviously, he made the team, so that's a good thing. But I also feel like, with the retirement of Shell, with the injury to Tommy Doyle, kind of cleared a pathway for him. But what's your thoughts on him?
Looked really good in the preseason. Like I said, I think every game he got a little bit better. And they tried him at both tackle and guard, and he was just a more natural fit at guard. Now, he is 6'5", 305, a little leaner. But I think just with the way that he plays, it's a more natural fit for him. And I think he has a chance to really succeed there. And, I feel better now, I guess, with him at guard. At least we have someone else other than Ryan Bates that can come in and fill in. God forbid Osiris Torrance gets injured, or if we want to run like a heavy package or something like that. I mean, at least we got a guy that can come in there and help out, and he's younger. He's only 23 years old. So
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I think it's a good move to keep him.
Then what about the recent ad of Jermaine Ifedi? Why don't you, educate the folks where he's from, where he came from, what you can tell the folks about his career so far?
Yeah, well, he was a first-round pick for Seattle in 2016. It was. He was 31st overall pick. He came in with a pretty high ceiling for the most part. He played on some really good teams in college there. And, I don't know if his career has taken the same course that most first-round offensive tackles careers take, for the most part. Typically, they turn out pretty good. He's been injured. He's gone to a couple different teams, and he just got released by the Lions. And I still think he's got a lot of value to offer. He's only 29 years old, and he started, I think, 83 games in the NFL. So he has the experience. He started majority of his career in Seattle for those 4 years that he was there. But he's had some recent starting experience as well. So I like the move. I think it's a just really good insurance for Spencer Brown. And it's funny because we were talking in our group chat with Sean. And we were watching, I think he was watching the Lions game or something like that. And he just said something about the Bills trading for Jermaine Ifedi. And then lo and behold, the Lions release him, and then we go and sign him. So I know Sean is thrilled about it because we know his thoughts already on Spencer Brown. So it is very good insurance. And I actually think it's an upgrade over a guy like Brandon Shell or David Quessenberry. By the way, David Quessenberry just signed with the Vikings.
Yes, I saw Go Bills podcast report that. So again, let me just say, so it looks like on O-line, I feel like there's somebody here missing. Oh, yeah, there is, because I don't have the centers in there. So hold on a sec. Let me give you the total numbers for O-line here. Let me bring in the center here as well. There we go. So 10 people on the O-line. Obviously, Bates is there at center and Mitch Morse. So, let me ask you this real quick on that O-line. You feel better than you did last year?
I think I do. I think I do. There was total uncertainty on the right side. I feel yeah. I don't know. I think there was a little more uncertainty on the right side last year, and sure, we still have Spencer Brown as our starting right tackle, but I am so pleased with how well Osiris Torrance has adapted and how he's played throughout the entire preseason. And being one of the prospects that I wanted the Bills to draft, and I thought he had the first round talent, as did many others, the fact that we were able to get him where we did just makes it that much more satisfying. So I'm going to say yes. I think we did upgrade. And don't forget, I mean, we still have Connor McGovern. We have David Edwards, who I think played very well in that last preseason game too. So I feel like the depth is actually better as well. And that's, we see how fast these guys go down with injuries. Last year we have David Questenberry playing on one leg. So I feel like really at every position we've gotten better, whether it be the starter or the added depth that we've gotten.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm going to say it's a huge upgrade because both those guards, Torrance is a huge upgrade already. He's a rookie, but dude, he's looking like a seasoned vet already, at least in preseason. I know it's going to be a big test against some of these teams coming up. We have a very hard schedule the whole year. So the whole AFC East has a very difficult schedule, and right out of the gate, he's going against the Jets. But I think it's a huge upgrade. I think it's a upgrade over Bates for sure. I love that Bates now can kind of sit back and wherever we might need him. I love the fact that we signed Connor McGovern. Is there any update on his injury?
Not a ton, really. I didn't hear much. I know it's not going to be serious, and I think he will be ready for week 1. So that's good news. I mean, we still have another, how many days? 11 days here before he has to actually get on the field and play. So, luckily for us, we're the last team to play in week 1. So we have a little bit more time for our guys to get healthy, which is huge. I think he'll be okay. He'll be suiting up for week 1.
Yeah. So, and then you got David Edwards they added this year, Effetti that they just added. I mean, I'm looking at this old line and I'm liking what I see. And again, as Sean says, if Brown is awful weeks 1 and 2, do we let Effetti get a shot week 3? I think you have to. But again, they could always scheme too. I mean, opening day against the Jets. Let's talk about that a little bit. That right side is going against the Jets defensive line is incredible. Like they got to be one of the top 3, top 4 defensive lines in the league. And so they might scheme and they might get Brown a lot of help. There might be a lot of Dawson Knox over there. By the way, did you see Dawson Knox with the little chip blocks in that third? After I rewatched it, and I think it was Timmy in the comments mentioned that afterwards. So they might scheme and get some help over there. And so Brown he better not look bad. I'm sure they're not going to leave him alone. They might initially. Let's see how he's doing, of course. But if things go wrong, they're going to definitely scheme up and get some help over there on the side for him. But yeah, O-line, I love it. I think I'm saying a big, big upgrade. Now, we thought this last year. We did say the same thing. I remember us saying, man, Roger Saffold, yeah, we've upgraded big time. But Saffold, and I love the fact that a lot of these guys are young, Jake. A lot of them are young. Like Effetti, he's little. He's got 8 years experience. You got Mitch Morris at 9. But then you got Anderson with 1 year experience, Bates 5, Spencer Brown 3, Dawkins is 7, Edwards with 5. You got McGovern with 5, and then you got Ryan Vandermark with 1 year experience, and then Osiris Tyrants, rookie. I love it. I love the young guys.
Well, and it's going to be telling because the first 4 weeks, really, I mean, you look at what we're playing those first 4 weeks, and I highlight that just because it's going to be a gauntlet. I mean, those defensive lines that we're playing off the bat, we will know if this offensive line is better than last year. Starting off with the Jets, arguably a top 3, maybe top 2 defensive line in the league. Then we got the Raiders, who don't sleep on them either. Max Crosby and Chandler Jones on the edge there. And then I think it's the Commanders after that. Again, another really nice defensive line. And then it's the Dolphins after that. So we're going to know if we got better at that offensive line position altogether. So I think Sean, you'll really know about Spencer Brown too. It'll definitely happen week 3 if he's not playing well.
Yeah, definitely. let's move over to the defensive line. We had, let's see, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 people on the defensive line that we're keeping on the 53-man roster. AJ Epinesa, Leonard Floyd, Puna Ford, Kingsley Jonathan. So, Jake, you're going to have to educate some of the folks about Kingsley Jonathan, somebody that showed some flashes last year. And again, there he is. Now gets his opportunity. Tell the folks a little bit about this young man.
Well, undrafted kid, went to Syracuse, so little soft spot in my heart for him, obviously being Syracuse guy. He was actually drafted, I think it was first overall in the CFL draft, because he spent some time, I want to say it was like in Quebec. So I think he has, I don't know if he has Canadian citizenship or something like that, but I want to look this up now, actually. I'm curious about that. I thought there was something with that. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh no, maybe not. No, he's Nigerian. But anyways, he was actually drafted first overall in the CFL draft. So that's a really interesting fact. That's in 2022, by the way. But yeah, Syracuse kid. You know, he's played in a couple of games. He played in a couple of games last year, and I kept thinking, like, who is this guy? He was out there finding a way to get his nose around the ball. So right away, I was very impressed with the impact that he had. And he wasn't going against scrubs or anything like that. So then he comes into this preseason, and, you know, he's hungry, and, you know, you could tell that there was just something there. There was a little more fire in him, and ends up making this roster. So a really cool prospect, and a guy that I've been rooting for about a year now. So it's great to see.
How many years did he play at Syracuse? Do you know?
I think he played 3 years there.
Okay.
I want to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that was I want to say that's a little bit of a surprise, especially because I think that's a big surprise, honestly, because we thought Boogie would be in that spot. But hey, I love it.
5 years, by the way.
5 years?
He was a fifth-year senior. I forgot he had the COVID year, too. So.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So pretty mature guy. We got Daquan Jones. No surprise there. Shaq Lawson, Ed Oliver. So Shaq would have been, to me, he was the bubble guy, for me at least. I know a lot of people said he's our best run stopper in that, and but it was going to be tough if you had Boogie still on here. Who was that bubble person?
So you got to make a decision, right? And I think that's where Shaq Lawson really stood out. The fact that he's so well at setting the edge. I think, in all honesty, it's like him and Greg Rousseau is our top 2 run defenders on this D line. So you got to keep a guy like Shaq. He's an energy guy. Him and Jordan Phillips, they came back to Buffalo to be those dudes, to come in, give a guy a blow and take some reps away from our starters, right? Come in and maintain that high energy, and they certainly did that last year. So yeah, just really happy to have him back.
And then we got Ed Oliver, Jordan Phillips, Greg Rousseau, and Tim Settle. Now here's an interesting question, because we do have 10. And when Von Miller, as by the way, Von Miller is on the PUP list, he'll be out at least the first 4 weeks of the season. But if he comes back, something's got to give here. I don't think he would keep 11. And so again, it's going to be, when these guys come off of IR or PUP, I'm looking at that and I'm like, who would you let go here, or who do you send? You have to release somebody.
The thing is, too, you put them down to your practice squad, they're definitely going to get claimed by someone else. So you're essentially going to be getting rid of one of those guys. And Sean pointed out it probably will be Kingsley Jonathan. If you are looking at this list right now, it's most logical that it's going to be him. I say that in a sad way, because I really do like the kid. But yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game at the end of the day here, and I don't know if you can keep 11.
Yeah, I don't think so. And it'd be crazy. How imagine this: Kingsley gets some play time in the first 4 games, gets 4 sacks, just killing it. All of a sudden, Vaughn comes off the list. Obviously, you're going to keep Vaughn, of course, but now you're having a different discussion. It's like, can we let this young man go after tearing it up? So
you're almost better off like putting an older guy down to the practice squad, such as a Shaq Lawson, because I feel like teams are more willing to take a chance on a guy that's younger and has that career potential, such as a guy like Kingsley Jonathan. So I wonder if that's even the play, or I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, Shaq's up there in age. I mean, he's been playing for, this will be his 9th season. So, but hey, a lot of folks Some folks had him missing the 53-man roster. I watched a few shows, so it was like 50-50 depending on who you were listening to there. Let's go to the big one here, the linebackers.
Yeah.
All right, so currently Terrell Bernard, Tyrel Dotson, Tyler Matakevich, Matt Milano, and Dorian Williams. No surprises there, but as we mentioned to start the show, Kirksley signed. He's on the practice squad. Short leash on Dotson, or let me ask you this. If Bernard's healthy, right? Bernard's healthy. Let's say he gets past this hamstring injury that he has and he's ready to go. Day one against the Jets, how do you see that playing out? Do you see, obviously, Dotson starting? They got rid of Klein. I thought actually Klein would make the roster.
I did too.
I thought
he was
might,
like one of the last ones that we got rid of there.
I thought he might be the guy starting there, but I have to think they're going to go with Dotson just because he got all the time in preseason. He's been the odds-on favorite since training camp. I mean, that's pretty much what McDermott and Bean had said, that he was that guy. And they paid him $2 million. Have a whole big story about that one. They paid him $2 million before the free agency even started, but just pretty much right at the free agency start. Yeah. And they could have took that $2 million and maybe try to sway. There was other players, and I'm not just saying Bobby Wagner and Levante David. There were some other guys that were pretty decent that were right around that $2 million mark that they could have brought on. But anyhow, what do you think in day one? Bernard's healthy. What's it look like day one? And when do you say, all right, Bernard, time to get your shot now?
Yeah, the problem is he was injured the entire preseason, and I think that's why we saw so much of Tyrel Dotson, just because he had to play. There was no other choice. And now you have Balin Spector go on IR, so that does open a slot up, I think. Actually, no, it doesn't, because it was Reed Ferguson and who else that were just promoted to the active roster again? Well, re-signed, rather. No, it was Andy Isabella. So I think there is one spot now for a linebacker to move up. So that would make sense for Christian Kirksey to be elevated sooner rather than later. I think that guy is way too good to be on a practice squad. And in my opinion, he's the best linebacker as far as middle linebackers go on this team right now. It just, does he know the defense? How well is he going to integrate with the defense? I think he can pick it up relatively quickly. But yeah, if you're looking at these current linebackers right now, our lads has Terrell Bernard starting. But the thing is, like you said, Mike, reps count, and Tyrel Dotson was available. So I don't know. I think, there's going to be some interchanging there too, based on, how the offense is running on the opposing team and, maybe who you're playing each week. So maybe they play it that way as well. I mean, looking at the Jets, me personally, I'd rather have Terrell Bernard in there just because he's a better coverage linebacker. So, yeah, to be honest with you, I think you just go ahead and start Christian Kirksey over both of them.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, let's be real, though. I mean, he has to learn the system a little bit. You can't just throw him out there. But maybe if that's saying they're so bad that anyone off the street can come play that middle linebacker. Not off the street, but Kirksey. So that's kind of
where my heart really lies. It's with Dorian
Williams.
They just
right?
haven't given him a fair crack at that inside linebacker.
So let me. So I want to stay here for a little bit because again, I was going to do a whole video on this whole middle linebacker situation. I still may do it, kind of just going back to the beginning and how we got here. Yeah. And when he took Terrell Bernard in the third round, and if you look at his college, he was a weak side linebacker. He's a smaller guy. Yep. He's not meant to take on any big physical blocks. He always plays on the side that's opposite of the tight end in college. And so he really wasn't a middle linebacker. He didn't play much middle linebacker in college. Was a tackling machine. But then I read certain, it depends who you listen to as far as his draft profile goes. Was he really that good in coverage? Some people said not really. He gets pushed off by the tight ends very easily because of his size. These big tight ends now, Jake. I mean, come on now. They're physical. They're bigger than him, a lot bigger. And then Dorian Williams gets drafted this year in the third round. He did play middle linebacker. So I don't get it. Why they didn't even give him an opportunity. I don't know. Again, they paid Dotson a lot of money, $2 million. But still, it's just, that's when I can't wrap my head around I don't know what's going on there, what they're seeing. But here you are. You draft the middle linebacker. Now, I will say this: most of the linebackers that could play middle linebacker this year, I did some research on that. The only one starting, guess who it is, Jake? Who's the only middle linebacker going to be starting for his team?
Your guy, Mike. Your freaking guy.
Mr. Campbell. Mr. Campbell. Jack
18th
Campbell.
overall pick. He went earlier than everyone thought he would go. Didn't even have a crack at him. Unbelievable.
I don't know if I should give this Trek reviewer here some. Let's bring him up a little bit. Cam Lewis will be the first one cut when Vaughn come back because we do not need 11 DBs. Well, we're going to see how many we actually have right now. And whether that happens or not, Trek reviewer, I can say Cam Lewis made the 53-man roster. You said he'd be out looking for work. You said he wouldn't even be in football after the cuts. So he's playing football. He's playing football.
Did Cam do something to you, Trek reviewer? I mean, is there some spite
here? Either Cam or I did something. I don't know.
Yeah. One of the two.
I don't know. Something happened, but he just won't let that go. But hey, let me tell you this. I'm happy for Cam. He made the 53-man roster, as I said he would. And if it gets released, he's not going to be on the market for more than a day. Somebody will snag that young man up quickly. Yeah, exactly. And then what does he say? He follows up here. Cam is just like Kraft mac and cheese. He is overpriced and not good. Oh, mac and cheese?
Guy.
Mac and cheese is fantastic. Let me just say this. My wife, this whole family here, out of the box mac and cheese, if you make it right, it's fantastic. I always say I make the mac and cheese just like it looks on the box. If you make it that way, it is special. And my secret recipe, take a can of corn and mix it in. Mix in a can of corn. Oh, man. Whole new level, buddy.
Really? I'm going to do that because, listen, we're a big mac and cheese family as well.
Yeah.
Especially having a little one. That's an easy one for me.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm home with her because I'm not – I mean, I can grill. I could follow a recipe, but I don't really want to waste that much time. So I got to be quick, right? So mac and cheese. She's screaming for her food. Bang, bang, boom. Throw a can of corn in there. That's
dude, it takes it to another level. And I think we used to go to a bar by our when my wife and I went before we bought our house and before, when we first moved to the area we're in. There was this bar that served something. I forgot what they were, but they were pretty much like these little bites. And they had cheese and corn in them. And then, of course, when I was a kid, the story is this. Like, when I was a little kid, again, I always tell the story about my mom being a single mom. We had mac and cheese was one of those things, hot dogs, and she'd always put some vegetable there. And, if you're eating mac and cheese on a flat bowl and you got some vegetables on the side or whatever, they all get mixed. They all get mixed at some point. And I'm like, this stuff's fantastic. And then we had it at that bar one time. And these little bites, and I'm like, you know what? I'm starting adding corn to my mac and cheese because it brought back the days I remembered as a kid. And dude, it's fantastic. So try it out.
You do yellow corn with the mac and cheese.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Not the cream corn. Don't get the cream corn. That'll just ruin it.
Fair enough. Okay. I like that. Yeah, and by the way, I am a homemade mac and cheese guy as well. My wife has a fantastic recipe. We make it for every family party, and gosh, it's great. So good.
So yeah, I agree. My wife's mom makes some amazing homemade mac and cheese. So we get that as well. But I'm just saying, hey, if you're on a little bit of budget, mac and cheese is pretty inexpensive. And if you make it right, you want to learn how to make it right, talk to me. Don't over milk it, man. You just got to have it looking just like the box, buddy.
Okay. Hey,
we digress a little bit. We love talking food. Let's get into the cornerbacks here. And so we got Christian Benford, who, let me ask you, put you right on the spot right now. Is Christian Benford starting against the Jets? Is he the
corner two? Yep.
All right, CB2.
He has to be.
I love it.
I love Dane Jackson. He's consistent. He knows the defense. Christian Benford is CB2, though. He did too much to not be CB2.
Yes. So let's see here. We got Kyer Elam, of course. And again, disappointment from folks, but we saw in preseason, little handsy, but I'm not giving up on this young man. I see a lot of potential in him. I'm going to say that word. I know we are always like trying not to say it.
Dower it again, Mike.
Yeah, no, we're going to do that. But he's definitely still. I still think he'll see a lot of playtime. I really do. Certain situations, we know he plays press coverage. He did some good things. Some good things last year. Never was there a moment when he was on the field last year. I can't even remember any big penalties that he took. I'm sure there was one or two, but never did you see him just get burned. Like he was all over anybody he was watching.
Tyreek Hill. I mean he shut down Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. So it's just crazy to me that he's not getting. Again, we don't see him day to day. We're not in those rooms. We're not on the practice field, but. I saw some good things last year, and I think we'll still see some good things from him this year. Here's another situation. Let's just say Kyer has to fill in, has a pick six, takes it to the house, has a great game. All of a sudden, conversations are going to start stirring. Narratives are going to start changing. Oh, maybe we need to get Kyer out there. So a lot of things can happen, but I love the situation we're in. I'm not giving up on him. I don't think you trade him right now. I certainly didn't think you would release him. That's crazy, but I wouldn't look to trade him either. I love having that depth. Jake, what do you think?
I think there are three position groups where you basically are going to ride the hot hand. So while I said Christian Benford's going to be the corner 2, is there that much of a drop off between him and a guy like Dane Jackson or Kyer Elam? I don't think it is. I think it's very close. So you're going to ride the hot hand at the corner position. I think the same is the case for the middle linebacker position, and I also think it's the same for the right tackle position. So there's three groups there that I think whoever's playing the best, they're going to play. Plain and simple.
Yep. Taron Johnson. It was interesting. Taron Johnson didn't get a lot of play in the preseason.
No one talks about Taron Johnson
right?
anymore.
I know.
He's one of the most elite nickel corners in the league. I mean, shoot.
I know. You just didn't see him a lot or hear a lot of him, but we know, Taron Johnson's my guy. When we're doing bold predictions, who am I always say makes a pick six
every game? Taron Johnson.
And let's remember, Taron Johnson made that interception game-ending play against Kansas City last year. So never sleep on him. He's a stud. Cam Lewis, I got him. They got him here in the cornerback. You could have easily put him in with the safeties as well. So loving that. Saran Neal, your guy. Saran Neal. I saw more from him. Yeah, Jake, I saw so much from him this preseason that I never expected to see. I kept trying to wrap my head around why are we seeing so much of him? But dude, I love what I saw out of him. He's big, he's physical, pretty quick. And, talk about, they used him they tried at least to try to slow down Kelsey a little bit. Didn't they put him on Kelsey?
Yeah, he did a great job. I just don't know why they went away from that game plan. It worked to an extent. It worked really well. And then all of a sudden they just didn't do it. And then you saw Travis Kelsey go off, right? So I just don't understand that. He's one of the fastest guys on this team, by the way, Mike. And he's so damn physical. He's got some size to him. He can play the nickel corner position. I think he can also play a little safety if he has to. I feel like he was a bubble guy, though, and they wanted to see how he responded to that this preseason. So that's why you saw so much of him out there on the field throughout the entire course of the offseason and the preseason. So, I love that he made the squad. He offers the special teams value. He offers, the ability to play physical and shut down some really key players. And, it's fun to see.
Yeah, let's go to the safety room here. And I will say this, Trek Reviewer, you're right. There's 11. When you count the corners and the safeties, there's 11. And that's a little bit more than we normally kept in the past. And I'm looking at this, right? And if someone had to go out of those 11 before preseason, I would have said Saran Neal. After preseason, I might give you Cam Lewis. I might. Yeah. It's just tough because you got DeMar Hamlin, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Taylor Rapp. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. You got to remember,
DeMar Hamlin still had 91 tackles last season. Didn't even play a full year. Yeah. And he was physical. He had some learning curves there, but I think for the most part, he was pretty solid back there. And he is one of those old school thumpers. He's downhill. He likes to play physical. And that's a guy that we need for this team. So I don't think it's just for optics, like Sean even said yesterday on our Summit show. I feel like the DeMar thing is legit. Like, he is legitimately a good football player. We're not just going to keep him because we want to have this beautiful, heartfelt story. Like, no, he earned a spot on this team, and he is a good player. And I think you will see some of him on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. And Chuck Revere says, I think Cam will be the second gunner until Schroeder comes back. That's the other thing Cam gives you is that he not only can he play slot corner, safety, and he plays special teams. So it's like I said, if I had to pick out of those 11 and they were going to pick from that list, I might give you that Cam is the guy that goes. But
I would agree.
Like I said, he'll get snagged up in a heartbeat. And I don't, he's going to get snagged up. There's no doubt. Let's see here. So were you a little concerned when you saw that Reed Ferguson was cut?
Heartbroken. I was on my way to go get pizza. I'm like, I don't even know if I can eat this pizza. I'm sick to my stomach. But then I heard right after that, say it was on the radio, WGR. They said, yep, Reed Ferguson got released. I'm like, what? The longest tenured Buffalo Bill just got released? And then they said, to follow, they're bringing him back tomorrow. And I'm like, good. I understand. Obviously, you got to roster manipulation. Someone said that early on. I think Sean or Brett maybe said that. So thank God. I mean, that's our long snapper and the longest tenured Buffalo Bill. You can't get rid of a guy like that. Crazy. I
know, it was kind of funny. I was thinking about you, man, when I heard that. But I knew it wasn't for long. I just knew. I'm like, they're doing something weird there.
I got to get a Reed Ferguson jersey.
You do.
That's the next one. For sure.
All right, so let's talk about. First of all, NFL news. Do you have any? We talked about the Boogie trade. I think there's been a few other trades, but what else do you know before we get into like season expectations with this team that we now know will be taking the field week 1? So any other big NFL news out there?
The Cardinals look like they are going for the full-on tank right now, and I love Josh Dobbs. No disrespect to him, but they just released Colt McCoy, who I actually thought maybe the Bills would target, because there was rumors that we were going to release Kyle Allen and we weren't going to bring him back and this, that, and other. That didn't happen. So Colt McCoy is also a free agent right now. Really surprised that some of these guys are still hanging around out there. I kind of just took a look at a quick list. You got guys like Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, Julio Jones, who still looked somewhat decent last year. I know he's a little bit older now, but you got to remember, like this dude's like 4 years removed from a 1,000-yard season, 4 or 5 years removed. Crazy, actually, now that I think about it. But even offensive linemen, you got like Dalton Reisner still available. There's some big name players that are on this list that have not been picked up yet. Ben Jones, that's another name, a guy that made the Pro Bowl last year, and I know he's 34 years old, but like this is a Pro Bowl center. He's playing his best football right now. I am shocked that a team hasn't picked him up. So it's really weird, and I feel like this year, out of like even any other year in the past, it's the talent pool is so large right now. Anthony Barr's available too. There's just a lot of big names left out there on the market that just haven't signed, and I don't know if it's a case of those guys just not wanting to participate in training camp in the preseason, but I would expect at least a few of those guys to sign, week 1 or early on in the regular season.
Yeah, I agree. Other big news is you got Nick Bosa holding out for the Niners, and you got Chris Jones currently holding out for the Chiefs. People are saying that Chris Jones is closer. They still expect him to maybe be available week 1, but those are big folks to be missing off your team if they're not playing, right? Nick Bosa for sure, and Chris Jones misses any time because of that. So those are big news. And what did you think about the Jonathan Taylor situation? Obviously now, everyone's like, all this talk, he's going to this team. Is it going to happen? They had up until 4 p.m., I think, yesterday. And now he's on the PUP list. He's going to be out for the first 4 games of the year. Oh, man, what do you make of that situation, Jake?
Well, the Dolphins were the rumored team. And did you see what they wanted in return? They wanted Jalen Waddle for Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, wow.
That's what they demanded. So you can't get the first-round pick. At least throw a player in there who, will make an immediate impact. And a guy like Jalen Waddle, who just went over 1,300 yards this past year, be a great addition for a nice, for a rookie quarterback. You got to help a rookie quarterback out, right? So, yeah, the Dolphins said no, they couldn't reach an agreement, and here we are with Jonathan Taylor. I'm sure a lot of fantasy rosters and a lot of fantasy owners are pretty pissed off right now. So, tough to see. And how about the movement of kickers, Mike? There were I think 3 kicker trades that happened in the last 3 days. Like Will Lutz is one of them, going to Denver, reuniting with Sean Payton. You had Dustin Hopkins going from LA to Cleveland, I think it was. And then you had Nick Folk being traded from New England to Tennessee. And then Tennessee just signed someone, too. They just signed a kicker as well to compete with him to the practice squad, I believe. Cade York, former Browns kicker, just signed to the practice squad for the Titans. So had to bring that up because I love my special teams. And I don't think I've ever seen so much kicker movement in my entire life.
I know, so that is absolutely crazy.
A story. Yeah, for sure.
So on the Jonathan Taylor thing, just to close the loop on that one, he could hold out all year. He does not, right? He may hold out. And there's a lot of bad blood there now, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I mean, obviously it can all be solved by paying the man, but it doesn't feel like the Colts want to do that. And what do you think of the Colts this year? I mean, are they kind of in a rebuilding mode or no? Do you see them as a competitive team this year? Because without Jonathan Taylor,
I think 7-10 at best right now, to be honest with you. There's going to be some growing pains there. They have some good young talent and guys like Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Jelani Woods, Zach. How about Zach Moss, who might be their starting running back?
I think he got hurt. I think Moss got hurt.
He did, but if he comes back, he'll be that guy. And then they have a kid, Evan Hull, who they drafted in the 5th round. I think they still have Deion Jackson as well there. The offensive line is looking to rebound. Now, I will say the offensive line is very good on paper. If they can get back to what they were 2 years ago, that will help out a ton. And I think the defense is slightly underrated as well there. So I like what they're building. I'm not ready to say that they're going to be a contender, but it is the AFC South. But I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars are as legit as it gets.
Yeah, I do too.
And that's cool to see because I love the small market teams being at the top of their divisions. You got the Bills, you got the Chiefs, you got the Jags. Not sure what's going to be the AFC West. I mean, the Chiefs are definitely that team, but what else am I missing? AFC North, Steelers and Ravens and Bengals.
Yeah, it is. I mean, teams have gotten so good. That AFC is, man, it's incredible. Let's talk about expectations for this year. I know you and we did our schedule predictions early on, and I think I had them at 12-5 finishing. Last year they finished 13-3. Obviously, we had that one game canceled, so it could have been 13-4, 14-3. You don't know. And you had them at, what'd you have them at this year? 13-4?
13-4, yeah.
13-4.
Yep.
Big expectations. I mean, 13-4 in a division in AFC, as you talked about. I mean, we have one of the hardest. I think we have one of the top 5 hardest schedules in the NFL this year, Jake. So, again, people talk about that. It goes off of last year, but, out of the gates, the Jets, right? And we're going to go deep into that one next week. Can't wait for that. It'll be on our Wednesday night tailgate show. We'll be getting into the Jets. We're going to have to figure out what we're going to talk about this Sunday, but maybe we'll do a double session about getting into the Bills Jets, and maybe we'll have some of those AFC East Summit boys join us as well. Get some of those Jets guys on with us talking on the Sunday night show or the Wednesday tailgate. So yeah, we'll definitely have a Jet representative with us. So that'll be fun. But man, dude, I mean, the Jets just keep, based on people's rankings, just keep moving up. They still haven't, a lot of folks that I've looked at rankings, they don't have them quite over the Bills, but man, it's getting close, and they're a lot better. Jake, they're so much better than they were last year. So much better, just at the quarterback position, right? I mean, let's give a quick preview. Like that first game, dude, talk to me about it.
Yeah, that tandem between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson is definitely going to be a problem. And the Bills are going to be tested, which is good. You don't want to be facing a cakewalk opponent your first game of the season. I think it's a nice wake-up call for the Bills. There are going to be some moments there where it's going to be a little trying at times, and I really think it's going to be a close game. Just to give you a little preview, Mike, I think it actually comes down to a field goal at the end of it. I think the Bills still get the win, but it's going to be a tight one. And, I think, playing in close games in the NFL, although it may not be ideal for us as the fans watching, it's good for teams to sort of build on that as the year goes on, being able to win the close ones like that. That was always the storyline. The Bills can't win the close ones. And here they are last year with, I think their 3 losses were by a grand total of 8 points. But you look at all the close wins too. And I know you want to blow a team out, but I think you come out, you get your work done, and you show that you can beat the Jets right off the bat. I think that's going to kind of transcend some of these different storylines. And regardless, whoever loses that game, it's going to be, oh no, it's panic, time to panic. Like it's going to be crazy. I'm already sick of it, to be honest with you.
Who do you think is the loss bigger for? And in my opinion, it's the Jets. I mean, all the hype with Aaron Rodgers coming over, they're on Hard Knocks this year. All the hype. And if, just imagine the Bills go in, beat them in New Jersey, Monday Night Football. I mean, you want to talk about a lot of panic. Yeah. Jets, New York is going to be in an uproar. I cannot wait for this game, man. I cannot wait for this game.
Yeah, it's going to be freaking incredible. Let me tell you. It's going to be a little emotional, too. It's 9/11 in New York City, too, Monday night. And I think regardless, if the Jets win, it's going to be all over the media. The New York media is going to be eating it up. If they lose, there's going to be so much criticism and are the Jets for real? And even though they just probably lost to a Super Bowl contending team, like it's one or the other. It's going to be the Jets that are going to take the spotlight for this. So I'm definitely in agreement with you on that one.
Red, White, and Bills. They think Trey can handle Wilson without issues.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, Sean.
That's going to be great.
People do sleep on Trey White right now. Like last year he played really well. He came back from an ACL injury. Now he's had a full year, more than a year, to recover from that, and going on 2 years now. It's crazy to say. So I feel like he is going to come out. He's going to return to all-pro form. So I am very excited for that, and I hope that's the case. I think it's going to be a really good battle regardless. Yeah,
I agree. And then Trekkerview coming in at 15-2. I had another person I know coming in at 16-1. So Trekkerview.
What are your losses? I want to know. What are your losses?
Yeah. Let's hear that one. So the first 5 games, Jets. We play Jets in New Jersey. Play the Raiders at home. We go play the Commanders. Washington Commanders. Then we play the Dolphins in Buffalo. Then we go to England.
That's the London game, yeah.
The London game. We go play the Jaguars. And the Jaguars, again, they'll have already been there. They're playing back-to-back weeks in London. So they'll have a little bit of advantage there that they're already there. So, again, like you said, you mentioned them earlier. Man, watch out for that team. So, as good as we've gotten, Jake, season expectations, I still stick to our predictions. We're only one off from one of another. But as good as we got, we feel that we've elevated. So did everybody else. Everybody else around us. So let's see here. Did he mention?
Whoa! Whoever Josh does not play against. Now wait a minute. Are you saying Josh Allen is going to get injured? Because I don't want to hear that right now.
No,
I do not want to hear it. Man, that's tough.
Maybe he gets sick. I mean, I don't know. He's not going to miss because of an injury. It'll be something like.
No, you're going to have this guy. Literally, you're going to have to cart him off the field yourself in order for him to not play. There's no chance. No chance it happens. By the way, I love this comment talking about Anthony Barr. He said, no, not Anthony Barr, because we do not need Josh Allen jumping linebackers in practice. If you remember, Josh Allen is a rookie. Welcome to the NFL moment. Hurdles Anthony Barr when he was with Minnesota. Pretty incredible moment. By the way, another linebacker, Christian Kirksey, who I had mentioned. So Josh Allen, cover athlete for Madden. Christian Kirksey, I don't know if you remember this, Mike, or if you even heard about this, but it was back when he was playing with the Browns, and I forget what Madden it was, but for whatever reason, there was a glitch, and it was with the Browns linebacker, Christian Kirksey. He was like super small. So then Madden started this mode called mini mode. And it was all because of that. And like big helmet mode came out, and it's just this really hilarious
Oh my
thing.
God.
So we have 2 Madden superstars on our team now.
I think you said you weren't going to pick up a Madden copy this year.
I have not, actually. I still haven't done it. I'm going to get the cover of Josh. I'm going to make sure I frame it, but I refuse to do it. I've heard, unfortunately, it is still the same game, and EA markets it like, oh, we're bringing back all these features, but they're features they should have never gotten rid of in the first place. So I'm going to elect to get NFL 2K Unleashed, which is the updated version from a fan base. These guys, I don't even know how many of them it is, but anyways, this team bands together and they created a basically a remake of ESPN NFL 2K5, an updated version of it, which is the greatest NFL game to ever come out. I'll stand by that till I die. So it has updated rosters, updated uniforms, like jerseys, all that stuff. So you can do it on an emulator on your computer, which is incredible, and it's in 4K. So that is what I'm going to be working on.
I'll have to check that out. I remember playing that game. It was a lot of fun for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, Jake, I think that does it, man. This was a great show. I mean, man, preseason's behind us, thankfully. Been waiting such a long time for this. And who opens up on Thursday Night Football?
That's the Lions and the Chiefs. An exciting game. And guess what? I'm in a wedding that day, Mike.
Uh-oh.
I'm in a wedding on a Thursday night in Canada. And shout out to Nick, who watches our show, Nicky Smalls. Great dude. But, man, he's killing me having his wedding on a Thursday night. Opening game of the NFL season. So you better believe I'm going to be having it on. I think they'll have some TVs there. So the plan is I'm still going to watch it one way or the other. But, man, that's tough.
Jake, I mean, seriously, you did not go back. When he sent you the invite, did you not give him a call and say, dude?
I mean, I'm in the wedding, so I couldn't say no. You know, incredible opportunity. I'm super excited for it. That sounds like a great group of guys that are in it, too. So, yeah, you know, we'll figure it out.
You're supposed to hand that out to all your friends, right? No, don't have any babies. I'm sorry. I told my kids, look, if you're having a baby on a Bills game, I won't be there.
Yeah.
I won't be at the hospital. I'll come check on them later.
I told my wife, too, you know, once we get started on number 2 here, we better plan this 9 months ahead. And it better not. Any month between, I would say, September through February, can't have it happen. So.
Well, listen, let me make sure to let everyone know we've got a lot going on Nickel City Mafia. We kicked off the fantasy football shows again. We got Chris and Jeremy. I mean, they're bringing it. I don't know if you caught their sleeper show just the past, I think it was, what was it, yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. I was watching it. They gave us some really good tips on sleepers, and you guys got to check it out because they are the best in the biz, I swear. They are awesome at what they do. They know every type of format. They will give you the cheat code and the recipe to win your league. So make sure you watch those shows. Yeah, they go live on Tuesdays at 9. They might go live twice a week. They're still working that out. But, yeah, they'll take questions live. You know, last year was great. You know, a lot of things. Chris got married last year. Rick had some things going on. So the fantasy football show kind of fell off a little bit later in the season. But they're back. They have a new guest. A new co-host with Jeremy. They take questions live. And last year, that was the biggest thing. People would come on the show. Do I make this trade? Who do I trade for this? What move should I make? And they're there to help you. Like you said, they've played in every type of league there is. So it doesn't matter what league you want to ask them a question about. They will help you out. So check that out. We got the AFC East Summit. Now, that's not on Nickel City Mafia, but we're definitely affiliated with that channel. So go subscribe. That's something you want to check out. We have reps from every AFC East team, and they bring it. Lots of fun. Jake's on there sometimes for the Bills. We got Sean out there from the Red, White, and Bills. And then we got Brett from the Go Bills podcast. That's the show I take off. I let these young guns do it because they do a fantastic job. And you got to check that out. So go check it out, AFC East Summit. You want to make sure you make that part of your subscriptions as well. And let's see. So golf's kind of on a little bit of a break. But, man, so much going on. We're working on, I know, Tom, if you're still out there, you're going to love to hear this. We're working on a Buffalo Sabres show on the Nickel City Mafia. Jake, we've always said we're all things Buffalo and then some. The then some's kind of the fantasy football. It's the food stuff we do. It's the golf. But having Buffalo Sabres part of this channel, next level. Can't wait for that. Fantastic. I'm excited for it, too. I mean, the Sabres are an up-and-coming team.
Yep.
It's an exciting time to be a Buffalo sports fan. The Bandits just win the NLL championship, too, which is freaking incredible. So I think the Sabres and the Bills, they got to follow suit.
All right, man. Did I miss anything, Jake? We good to go?
I think we're good to go, Mike. I'm, boy, we're just counting it down right now. I'm so
I know.
Great.
I know. All right, man. Well, let's end it. Thank you, everyone. Again, if you're new to the channel, please like, comment, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. Greatly appreciate it. Linda, we're still waiting to hear from you so you can get your Madden 24 game. I know Jules Marie got hers delivered yesterday. She reached out, said thank you, and let us know she got it. Her nephew's going to get it tomorrow. So she's going to let me know how excited he was. And then Sophia in Hawaii is supposed to get her copy tomorrow. So we got to get her gamer tag. She actually plays the game.
That is awesome.
She plays the game. Yeah. And so Linda, I think is Linda West. Please just reach out to nickelcitymafia@gmail.com and let us know where we need to send that. So let's go, Jake. Let's get out of here. Go Bills. Let's leave you with this amazing outro. Here we go.
Bills Mafia, circling the wagon, you feel me? Nickel City Mafia, let's go!
Josh Allen, quarterback supreme, leading the Bills to the top of the league. Weapons by his side, and that defense hella mean. Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. I said Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. Yes. Come on. J17 leading the charge. Buffalo Bills on the rise. Passing game on point. Ain't no mirage. Happening right in your eyes. Ain't no surprise. Buffalo stacking the QBs. Left on Diggs holding in the pass. Group cards didn't have to go deep. We're circling wagons. Just wait and see. From Wyoming to the NFL, Josh Allen's got the skills. Air raid, deep ball, touchdowns for real. Leading the Bills to playoff drills. Real time, this ain't no drill. Cold game, we're giving them chills. Check the score, now you know the deal.
Nickel City Mafia.